What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
At NBS, we believe in banking for life. For over 160 years, we've been a trusted banking provider for generations of locals like you. We know our clients personally and build long-term relationships with them, offering flexibility by giving our staff freedom to make quick decisions to put them first. Experience banking for life with NBS.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Okay, welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup. I'm Chris Butler. Welcome back to Les Edwards. How are you, mate?
Yeah, nice to be here, mate.
What year was that shirt? I've got one of those.
Yeah, 2019.
He's got them all. He's got the whole cupboard. He had to get a separate wardrobe just for his Mako shirts. We're thrilled to bring you all things rugby in the top of the south. Before we dive in, though, a big shout out to the Turf Hotel on Main Road, Stoke. Thank you for their continued support. And as I arrived earlier, the Ranfurly Shield was here with Willie Avilli and the crew, so had an opportunity to take the photo. Once in a lifetime, Liz.
Yes.
Geez, it was quite heavy.
Yes, it is a bit of wood, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've obviously held it above your shoulders, so you know the weight of it.
I think it'd be good exercise doing a few push-ups with those things. But anyway, it's doing the travels. Unfortunately, we couldn't convince them to keep it here for the podcast. They had a lot of places to cover, but great to see it here. In this episode, we're going to cover the latest in First 15 rugby, also international rugby, and of course the Mako season and the fantastic result with the Ranfurly Shield. And on that note, we're very pleased to welcome Mako 164. That's prop Ryan Coxon on. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Chris and Les. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here. And I must say that often I get caught talking about the backs too much, and Les will be wrapped because he always steers us back to the forward performances. So you've got a fan there in the hard work up front. Tell us about how the team is right now, and obviously the celebrations after winning the Ranfurly Shield and on Saturday night. So have you come back down to earth yet?
Oh, not really. No,
Not really.
Excuse my voice. I sound a little bit like Darren Lockyer right now, but
That's right.
yeah, it's not normally this croaky. But team's on a buzz. Had a ripper of a start to the season, and to win the Ranfurly Shield for the first time was pretty special. And guys are still glowing about it, and Shield's doing the rounds around the region, and team's in real good spirits at the moment.
Well, isn't it fantastic that everyone gets an opportunity to try and get their hands on it, and they're taking it around the region? It's like that, isn't it? It's a big part. I was interviewing, did a podcast with an Irish footballer, and he goes, "What's all that fuss about?" And I said, "Well, the Holy Grail."
Yeah. Well, you only get it. You're only guaranteed a week with it, so
I know you got to make most of it.
When it's a taonga like the Shield is, then you got to get it to as many communities as you can. So I understand it's going over to Collingwood and Motueka, and it's been over to Marlborough. So, but the boys are back training, right?
Yeah, boys are back training.
Right.
Boys are back training. We're back into it on Tuesday. So we're lucky enough to have 8-day turnaround after winning the Shield, which is pretty rare, I think, in most cases. And we got pretty lucky with the draw there. So we had a couple of days to enjoy ourselves, but we're straight back into our work because another beast coming this week with Wellington, another unbeaten side, and big challenge to go out there and attack and win the Shield back again. So,
okay, we're going to talk more about that in the not so distant future. But first, let's get into First 15 rugby and New Zealand top 4 playoffs. And fantastic performance by Nelson College. Didn't quite, what do they say? Close but no cigar.
Chris, they did make history. They did. For the first time ever, they made the final of the New Zealand top 4 and had a really good performance on Friday against Kelston Boys. They got up there 26-18 against a very big Kelston Boys high school. I would assume, you having gone to St. Peter's, you might have played a couple of those bigger Auckland schools in your time.
Yeah, played against a few of those Auckland schools. Most of it was in pre-season fixtures. So against St Kent's and Mags as well. We would play against them in pre-season fixtures. But with St Peter's being in the CNI competition, we played a lot of teams from further down south, and St Paul's Collegiate as well from Edmonton.
Right, but they are big teams, aren't they?
Very big.
Just a great performance then. In the final on Sunday, oh man, the wind was just horrible, blustering down the park, and College played into the wind in the first half. They turned around at Oranges with a 20-10, so a 10-point deficit. They were down 20 points to 10, and I just thought with the wind there was every opportunity for them to perhaps get themselves a victory, but the second half, I have to say that Hamilton boys just really hoed into their work in that second half, and they ended up drawing the second half 7-all. So unfortunately for the College, they went down 27-17, but they can hold their heads so high. This was just a remarkable season for them, and big shout out to all of their management and their players led by Harrison Inch. Just an excellent year.
Yeah, and Hamilton boys have got a massive history. It's certainly not the first time they've won New Zealand champs. So, what do they say? You've got to lose one to win one. So, would have had a taste of it. So, and to go that far against some big colleges, just a tremendous effort. And what a season!
Yeah, great season.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done, College, Nelson College. Is that it? I mean,
that's it.
That's it. They get to put up their feet, get the cricket
back.
Yeah,
I guess the year 13s now decide which uni they're going to go to, or what club they're going to play for, and get themselves into the right mindset for 2025.
Well, in my day, a lot of the players would decide to do second year 13s or third years. We had grown men still going to college just to play. Let's look at the internationals, and first of all, I sort of had to rub my eyes at one point. I turned on to watch the highlights of Australia versus Argentina, and 67-27. And I believe that the first half the score was very close.
Australia were leading 20 points to 3. So
that's right, 20 points to 3.
Yeah, so
that was through the first 30 minutes or something, wasn't it?
Exactly.
And, so 64 points in the last 50 minutes. Pretty crazy.
Just horrible for the Aussies, and Coach Joe Schmidt must be pulling his hair out, because that's a capitulation, isn't it? And not to be expected in a test.
No, that's right. But wonderful rugby by Argentina. Yeah. It's a bit like when France get in a roll and they start throwing it around, and everything they do just turns to gold. And whereas I guess you have to really question the defence, obviously, of Australia. But some teams like that, when they get in the mood, they're pretty hard to stop, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's there. Once that Latino energy starts getting behind them, the Argies are just marvellous. And they did it against the All Blacks. Let's not forget that. That passion and energy they get out of, being in front. They really hit their straps. So, 67-27 to Argentina over Australia.
So really looking forward to... So the next Argentina yet to play South Africa?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Is that away? Is South Africa away, or
pass?
We'll deal with that next week. But those will be interesting games, because Argentina are a good side, aren't they?
On their day.
On their day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's talk about the other match. And we're not asking you, Ryan, because it was Saturday night after you won the Ranfurly Shield. So
we're a little bit busy and a little bit occupied at about 3 a.m. Saturday night, so didn't watch too much of it.
Might have been just a little bit too hard to focus on the telly.
Did you have any teetotalers in the group who did watch it?
No. I don't believe anybody watched the game, but followed along with a score and a couple of replays the next morning.
I love that footage. We posted it, actually reposted it on the Talk Nelson, and it was David Havili, Ethan Blackadder, and Will Jordan. And was it Noah Hotham, was it?
Mm.
Was that and they were watching it in the hotel on the big screen, and when the kick went over, David Havili just went mad. And it looked as though actually Blackadder got up to jump up and down, and it looks as though David Havili stood on his foot or something and injured him again. And they were, and the heading was, the Tassie boys are wrapped, so so even though you're an All Black, it just goes to show where their heart was, and how much passion they showed for the team getting the goods.
Yeah, they're very passionate Mako men, and you know, a couple of legends of the club, and they'll do anything to play in the Mako jersey. But obviously, the higher honours is where they're at, and good on them. So,
but I do understand they rang into your changing room, didn't they?
Yeah, we had quite a few of the guys through on FaceTime. So we had Davey, Alex Nangerville, and a couple of the other guys on FaceTime.
Oh, awesome!
As soon as we got in the change room, and you know, like all those past Mako and current and the future, all a part of kind of what happened in the weekend, really. So it was pretty special to be able to do it for all of them, and for those guys that couldn't be there, it was we wanted them to be a part of it. So
isn't it great that those guys haven't forgotten you? You know, they've moved on to other honours, but their heart is still with the Mako. So we must touch on the game though, Les, and I mean, it was probably a tighter game in the first half for sure. In the first half, and 9-3, we got penalties, and there wasn't anything. Both teams played quite a solid game, didn't they?
It was an entertaining first half, and that's for sure. And again, for the second test in a row, the All Blacks went to halftime with a lead. It was almost a mirror of the first test, though. In the second half, you knew that they would bring on their bomb squad, and as changes were made to the All Black side, again, the bench didn't really deliver. And, again, a late yellow card, and South Africa were able to take advantage of the numbers, the weight, and score the winning try.
And, once they get into that 22, it's very difficult to keep them out, isn't it? And I guess the talk after the game is that, we did put them under pressure, but we just couldn't get the goods. And they did say Damien McKenzie missed a couple. Well, they missed one, even though that was 50 out. So I just think it came down to, at the end of the day, that which we used to do, it was rollover teams in the last 20. Yep.
And for the last 4 tests, the All Blacks haven't been scoring points in the last 20 minutes.
Yes,
so something that will have to be addressed, and will be addressed, I'm sure, by the coaches over time. They've got an opportunity to blow the cobwebs out with some tests next week against Australia. For the next 2 weeks that we play Australia. So, just a chance. But I'm hoping that there might be some changes. I think if you do lose 2 tests and 3 tests in a row, there have to be some changes in the personnel selected. And I've got some thoughts there, mainly around the midfield and the back row.
Right. So I was going to ask you that. So if that was going to be the case, what changes would you like to see?
Well, in the back row, I want to see Ardie Savea at 7 and Satiti at number 8.
He did play well.
And if Ethan Blackadder is fit, he at number 6. I just like the direct running and the power running of Satiti, and I think that off the base of the scrum would be really awesome. And it just gives us a chance to see what damage Savea can do at the breakdown as a 7.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Cane did play well, didn't he? He had a great game. But it's that, as you say, Satiti getting some go for, which he did show some signs on. People like Blackadder's work ethic. And I agree, I've always wanted Savea at 7. And also when he does get a bit of a gap, his running power as well. And then, yes, that midfield. Tell me about that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I just want to see Proctor given a crack.
Yeah, so do I.
I think he, outside Anton Leonard-Brown, would be quite a joy to watch, actually. Leonard-Brown's such a good player, and his distribution game is good. He sets up his outside centre very well, and then Proctor's got an amazing passing game, so to put his wings away. So that's what I'd like to see, and I think you've got to try new things, to be honest.
Yeah.
Coxie, what do you think?
I think I obviously didn't watch the second test, but that first test, I thought Ethan Blackadder was by far the best player on the field in that first test against South Africa. Like it wasn't necessarily the big involvements, but the little involvements from him, the work rate off the ball, the small opportunities he opens for other players. He's the kind of player that makes everybody else around him look really good. And it was one of his best performances, I thought, in All Blacks jersey. That first test against South Africa. So
it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because Satiti also had a good game.
Excellent game.
So, if they decide to persist with, I mean, that's what blew me away, the fact that they put him at number 6 and kept Ardie at 8. But anyway, be an interesting battle there if they decide to keep Savea at 8. But I like your idea. Have them both. Will Jordan, they talked about him, not getting into the game, but he didn't really have an opportunity, did he? I mean, it wasn't a game where he could suddenly come into that.
He had a nice couple of touches early in the game, and then it didn't go his way. So I still think that you got to persevere with him at 15, and especially against Australia. The one thing that's really interesting is, with the 10. So there's talk that Mackenzie is contemplating going to France.
Yeah.
So, bring back Moanga or who is the next 10 to run the cutter.
Well, the question that came up for me afterwards is, for me, it highlighted the debate now about overseas players. So any thoughts on that?
I don't think New Zealand rugby is going to change that. My personal opinion on it doesn't matter because I just don't think they're going to do it. And that probably is to preserve the integrity of the game here in New Zealand and in our competitions.
If you got a call up by an Irish club and then All Blacks are saying, geez, you're playing well at the moment, we'll get you. Is that what you think should happen? We've lost a lot of players to overseas, haven't we?
Money talks, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it does these days.
Yeah.
So you could easily be an Irishman.
I could easily go anywhere less. Obviously it's one of those topics and situations that, there's a lot of debate around and a lot of people have a lot of opinions. So, but I think the way it is now, like, we have to look after Super Rugby because we don't know what it's going to be like in the future, 4, 5, 6 years down the track. So I think being able to hold all our New Zealand players in New Zealand is pretty important. So
okay, but here's the thing: South Africa play, I guess, what is it, the Castle League or whatever it is? They play provincial rugby. They've got overseas players. They're number one in the world at the moment. A call goes out after the fantastic games in NPC across the weekend, including the fantastic Ranfurly Shield game. With the fact that, calls all over the place saying, get rid of Super, it's boring, keep our NPC, and then if we can top our All Black game up with 1 or 2 key players from overseas, that puts us in the same league. People are talking about the fact that we're not battling against South African teams week in and week out. So what are our thoughts around that?
I think they made a big effort to rectify that. There are now tours. There's going to be an 8-game tour of South Africa by New Zealand in 2026. I think that's and those tours are going to be reciprocated every 2 years. I think that's a great thing. But hey, wouldn't it be marvellous if there was, in fact, 2 levels of rugby? The National Provincial Championship with everybody available playing home and away, and then test matches.
Yeah.
And that'd be most rugby fans' primo concept, I think.
Yeah. And it would really get the community involved, wouldn't it? At that level. And you could have a longer season. But anyway.
But a harder thing to finance.
Yeah.
Super Rugby is relatively easy.
Well, I don't know. We might pack out, get bigger crowds. Blenheim, you said Tuesday, 300 tickets yet to go, probably sold out by now, Yeah,
I believe it is sold out or close to for this weekend, which is, pretty special, pretty cool. So, we'll see what comes of it, eh?
There we go. All right, we'll move on and see what the lineup is against Australia. The Mako season, the FPC, and it was a fantastic second half. Is that right, Les? Did we storm back in the second half? I saw the highlights and seems an age away now. Yeah. So much has happened, but 39-36 at Trafalgar Park.
Yeah, so they got a lead, we got a lead, they got a lead, and we persevered and got a first win for the season. So, yeah, it was really entertaining at Trafalgar Park. I watched the game. The skill level amongst both sides was quite high. Tackling optional, obviously, with a 39-36 scoreline, but the attack play and the support play was really quite nice.
There was one try there. The Mako got it, just went just about through every piece of hands. It was a fantastic try, and the commentators were, really excited by the end of it. Now, don't want to put you on the spot, Les, but left winger for our Mako girls.
Yeah, Michelle Miller-Leaf or Nee Curry, Michelle Curry.
Jeez.
Good player, eh?
Man alive.
She played 24 years old, has played for Manu Samoa, went over Manasina, went over and played a bit of rugby in Australia. club rugby in Australia, got her back, and she's a superstar. Good player.
Well, is she originally from this region? Or?
Yeah, absolutely, one of the Currys.
Yeah, right.
Michael Curry, who played for the Mako, and part of the family.
Man alive. Watch out for her, because I think I'll have tabs on her for sure. She was just busting it up all over the place. All right, let's talk about the big day in Hawke's Bay. And I was speaking to Steve Mitchell, who was down here with the, with the Ranfurly Shield, and he was saying, the fact that it's a long, long day. And he remembers when he used to travel in his boxing days, where you have a game or a match at night, and you've got to wait all day. First of all, you've got to get up there, so there's the travel. Then you've got that long wait till there's, in your case, a 7 o'clock kickoff, and you're twiddling your thumbs. Obviously, you're trying to keep calm, and it's such a big game. So tell us about how that day went for you and the build-up.
I normally have a pretty relaxed morning. I'll try and sleep in as long as I can, and then roll down, have some breakfast at, say, 9:30ish, and then go out for coffee and cards with the lads. So we rolled down to a nice little cafe just down the road from us, and played a little bit up the creek, if you're familiar with that card game, and a couple of coffees, and then by then it was just about lunchtime. So we rolled back, and then you kind of just chill out on the bed, and you might watch a wee Netflix series, have a nap or something, and then you start to get into your work at about 2:30. We have our little spark, and the team will kind of get together about 2:30ish, I think it is. So you have a bit of time in the morning, but you just try and stay switched off and stay away from rugby, and talk some shit and just have some fun.
But what are the butterflies like? It must be really difficult, not especially with that game. And I suppose if you're playing week in and week out, you get into a routine. But it's the Ranfurly Shield, very hard to keep out of your mind. But do they talk to you about that?
Oh, not so much.
No.
It's kind of just down to the individual. Everyone prepares slightly differently, and I'm pretty good at kind of just getting my mind completely off rugby all morning, and in that half an hour before we get together, I'll start to switch on and kind of go over a couple of things that I need to remind myself of, and a couple of small things there. So for me, I try to take away as much of that emotional energy and distraction in the morning, and then kind of build up from there. So.
Okay, so it's Hawke's Bay away, really difficult. I don't know if they've lost a game yet. If they lost a game, they're at the top of the table, aren't they?
Yeah, they were undefeated.
They're undefeated. We know what they like. We've been there before. But also, geez, you guys have been travelling pretty well as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Then a fantastic first half. I mean, the first half couldn't have gone better. You were playing out of your skin. Everything was going your way. Then comes the second half, and I said to Steve, it was just in my mind. I said, was it just in my mind? Did they go? It looks as though they were playing a very controlled game, as though, and even the commentator said, start of the second half, they look as though they're in control, because nothing was at high pace. They were doing the right things, and I thought maybe they're just going to control the game and see it out. But then, obviously, we all knew that Hawke's Bay we're going to do the comeback as they always do, like South Africa, that last 20. And I just thought that maybe you guys, right until the very end, you couldn't respond. Or can you tell us what you were going through? Did the first half take it out of you? Did you feel that you weren't quite the same as the first half? What was going through your minds in that second half? Or have I read that completely wrong?
No, you're bang on. You're bang on. No, first half was awesome. The energy going into the sheds was great. Guys were really happy. We're all feeling pretty good. Nobody was too blown out, and rolled into, even the start of the second half was pretty strong from us. I think we extended our lead out, I think it was, and then a couple of small errors from ourselves, and all they need is a little sniff, and they've got some pretty hungry guys in there that are high school players, and they're ready to go kind of as soon as you make an error, and they pounced on a couple of those opportunities, and they kind of switched the momentum around there at 50, 60 minutes there, and they probably had the blow of the ball for that 20, 30 minutes towards the end there, and we're put under a lot of pressure. We're forced to change a few things around our set piece as well, and we're under the pump there, and we're doing kind of what we can to just try and fight the momentum back, and give ourselves a chance to get some more points on the board again late in the game. But
who's their number 10?
Danny Twala.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He played he just went up another notch, didn't he?
Yeah, he's exceptional.
He created some opportunity, and he was kicking the goals, and you could just feel that momentum swing, couldn't you?
Yeah,
it's amazing how that happens, isn't it? And so, what were you guys saying to yourselves behind the goal mouth when that momentum was going that way?
It was a little bit of let's just stay connected, and like there was a couple of little chinks in our D where we let guys through or let an offload, like they got a few offloads away through the game, and we just had to stay connected and get heavy shoulders again, and try and win some momentum with our collisions. So our collisions had to be big up front, and they come down to some of us big boys, and we just had to own that and be better there, and then own our set piece to set some of our electric outside backs up again. So and in the end, it comes down to one moment. So
let's talk about that moment. So
down 24-22, 6 seconds left on the clock, and there's a ruck in the middle of the park.
Yeah, so talk us
forwards.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm looking at the TV. And I'm going, it's done, because all they're doing is it Hugh Brenton? Have I got that?
Renton.
Hugh Renton, who we interviewed. So he's gone back to his homeland. Practically they'd give him the ball and he had to stand up. He wasn't even moving forward just to take the tackle. And I thought they're just going to see this out. And it's done, because I've seen that before. I've seen teams 5 minutes to go, they just hold the ball. You can't get to them, you can't get to the ball, and you're just hoping there's a mistake, but they don't do anything too drastic to drop the ball. What's going through your guys' minds at that point? And then there was the moment where it was all done. The whistle was about to be blown, and you get the turnover. So talk us through that.
Yeah, Chris, we trained for those moments at the end of the game on both sides of the ball. So whether in Hawke's Bay situation or we're in the situation we were, and obviously in our situation we needed the ball back, whether it was through a penalty or just a straight turnover to play. And that Hawke's Bay had done a great job for close to 2 minutes, I think it was, and of retaining the ball there. And as you're asking before, it's quite a passive ball carry, and whereas if you're trying to make gain lines, sometimes you can lose your support players, and all of a sudden the ball comes exposed to the defense there. And when it finally come down to that last ruck, Antonio Shalfoon did a really good check on one of their players, and did an absolute job for us there, which nothing illegal. He's just doing his job, and then they opened the ball up for Jim the Bruss to get his head on the ball. And he's one of the best in the competition at turnovers, whether it's on the edge or in the middle of the mixer with the big boys. And he's a pretty hard man to move. So we train for those moments, and we're did a great job to finally make it happen.
So you forwards did a pretty good job. You had a role to play in that last ruck with your pressure on the outside of the ruck, and then you're saying Antonio Shalfoon in the middle there just moved a couple of bodies and exposed the ball for a brief moment.
Yeah, I can't remember who the other guy was that was in the tackle actually, but I just remember seeing Antonio doing a really good job of exposing the ball for Jim to have the opportunity there. And there's no guarantees that Jim's going to get the penalty there, and he shows good pitches and tries to steal the ball, and you get the whistles.
Well, the referee saw the picture because he said 2 hands on the ball.
That's exactly it.
Then I can't remember what was it, 70th minute, Willie Villy goes off, and this guy comes on, which I've seen his face a couple of times, but I haven't seen a lot of him. Number 10, and I thought, well, okay, he's we haven't got much of the ball at the moment, so maybe he's just going to be defending a lot. All of a sudden, what was the distance of the kick? Do we know how long it was?
It was about 47 metres.
47 metres.
Yeah, Campbell Parada.
Who's Campbell Parada?
Hashtag beef, the new beef.
So,
he's got a new nickname, hasn't he?
And I heard that Steve Mitchell told me that story that they picked up Murray Sturgeon to have a yarn to them, and Murray said it reminds me of another guy called Beaver, who won the World Cup for us, and I anoint you the new Beaver. So, but Steve didn't know if it was going to stick or not, but obviously it has. So tell me about him, because obviously most of us had no idea whether he can kick a ball from that distance.
I do know he can, because he's played club rugby in our region for a number of years for Waimea Old Boys as a first five, and he has kicked one of those to beat Marist in a very, very important game. So he's always had a prodigious left foot, and so perfectly capable to kick it that far. And I know the Bruss also knew he was, because he gave him a kiss on the back of the head and said, "Go and kick it." So yeah, so he is a young man who has played a lot of footy, had some injury problems. This year he was over with the Force, just in pre-season training in January, tore the hamstring off his bone. So he's had his trials and tribulations, but always been a very good left-footed goalkeeper.
So you were quite confident, Les, when you saw him go into that position. I mean, there was no doubt. There's no one else on that field at that point that would take a kick from that.
I don't know. I put my hand up. If Cam wasn't going to.
Every prop has a back in his body.
But the commentators were saying he didn't even hesitate. Yeah, that's me. I'm on. And, you know, with that pressure, I mean, what a sterling job he did. And but, you know, look, in that situation, you forgive a guy for not quite getting it right from that distance. But the fact that he got it, and then it was just all hell break loose, wasn't it? Everyone went mad.
Tell you what, Chris, I was on Campbell's left side when he was kicking it, and that ball was not inside the sticks for about 95% of the ball flight. So it was
wow. He just faded in, eh?
Yeah, he admitted it to the boys that he didn't actually get it anywhere near out of the middle of his boot, but yeah, it was out the right hand side the whole way and comes back in late, and you know, obviously.
So was there any breeze at all in that?
Nah, not a hell of a lot.
So it was just a little bit of a spin on the ball, and
yeah.
Bang.
Oh, hey, look, you play for small misses, don't you? And yeah, that was right on the money. So.
Look, it was just meant to be, obviously. You know,
it's part of folklore now.
Yeah. And
in 40 years' time, we'll be talking about it.
And, you know, interesting comment at the end of the game, because we talked about it on our podcast last week. We said to Finlay, we said, look, mate, understand you guys want to go up there and win it, but no, it's just another game and it's points, but you got to do it for the old buggers, because we might not ever do it again. And captain at the end did the speech, and he said, "This is for the old buggers." So maybe that seeped through somewhere, Les.
Finlay did say you talked about it in the build-up to the game, that, you know, it's about the community as much as it is about the team. So that was pretty awesome. And the community, as you can see, this, you know, last few days, is responding in kind to this team.
Well, what is it, 50 years since Marlborough got it? And that wasn't even Nelson Bay. So just goes to show that once in a lifetime it may happen. So congratulations, well done.
Cheers.
But, of course, do we talk about it now? Yes, we do talk about it now, Les, because you've got to go over the hill this weekend. Sunday, is it?
Yeah, Sunday, 2 o'clock, Lansdowne Park.
Lansdowne Park against Wellington. So if ever you're going to take on another side to defend the Ranfurly Shield, that might be the last team that you'd pick. They've been travelling pretty well, but in a way, it's probably good to have a game like that, because you've got to really lift yourselves to take the Wellington Lions on, don't you?
So both Wellington and Tasman are undefeated going into this game. However, Wellington are in the middle of their storm week, so they play last weekend, Wednesday night, and then Sunday. So that's also a good opportunity for Tasman, although I have seen the Wellington team named to play on Wednesday night, and it doesn't look like their starting team, that's for sure.
Well, you know where their priorities are.
Exactly.
But, yeah, what better challenge to back up performance like last weekend and take on another unbeaten team and a real top-quality side like Wellington. So they've been playing well, and obviously it was 5 in a row as well, I think. So, no, but they've been a strong side for many years now, and been in a couple of finals and semi-finals the last few years, and, you know, consistently performing. So, yeah, it'll be a big challenge, but we're looking forward to it. So,
yeah. So I was going to ask you about what you talk about for this weekend. So you have something like that happen, and you know it's big heights and big celebrations, and all of a sudden you've got to pick yourselves up against Wellington. So what do you talk about?
Kind of reset to zero a little bit. So, you know, obviously we had a great weekend and a great week last week, but you've got to reset to zero a little bit, and your mindset's got to be solely on just beating Wellington. You know, it's basically a test match. We've got to win the Shield again. So not only to win the game, but we have to win the Shield. It's not about defending the Shield. You know, you've got to go out there and throw some punches, earn the right, as you say. So, for us, it's another week, another opportunity to do something great for our region. So
because it's also making a statement. I remember last year you guys had a reasonable start to the season. You did pretty well, but then through injury fell off the wagon a bit. But you've had a fantastic start to the season. So now, in a way, it's kind of stamping your mark on, we're not going to fall off again. We're here to win this comp. Because we talked about that previously with a couple of seasons where you've, let's face it, lost 8 guys and more one way or t'other, whether it's for the All Blacks or overseas. Probably you could say a bit of a rebuilding period, and the seasons have been thereabouts. And the discussion whether or not are you just going to be a middle of the road team because the focus is going to be on building it from community up, or can you be a top 4 / a champion team? You're putting the gauntlet down at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you have a look at our team on paper and look at some of the ages of our players, and it's pretty crazy. We've got quite a young team, but then you look at some of these Super Rugby caps and their caps for the Mako, and they're actually vastly experienced. And having guys like Louis Chapman and Macca Springer and who else have we got now? Antonio Chalfone, who's had a good season now with the Crusaders, and guys like that. And that they're really stepping up and big leaders in our team now. And like young youthful team, but experienced now as well. So it's going a long way.
And the skipper, Quinton Strange, is still not an elderly player. He's still a late 20s player with a heap of experience, and he's leading from the get-go, playing 80 minutes every game. And yourself, Ryan, an 80-minute performance from you on the weekend, and that's on the back of increased game time, and you're one of those leaders now, aren't you?
Oh, yeah,
you are.
Lead from the actions, mate, and if I have to play 80 minutes, I'll play 80 minutes, but it's out there to do a job, mate.
So it's heartening, though, isn't it, Les? Because when the Mako first started out, young side, some of them from all parts of the country that were pulled in, but we always, even though they didn't always get the results, like the way they played because they boxed above their weight, gave things a crack. And it just goes to show here that that same ethos is still in the team, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
Fantastic. All right, good stuff. Good luck.
Cheers.
Looks like it might be a sellout, Les.
Yeah, well, that's what Coxie's told me.
Are you?
I'll be there.
You'll be. So have you got your ticket?
Well, I'll do the ground announcing.
So by default, you just walk in with a mic and they let you
say hello.
He just puffs his chest out, Chris, and walk through the gates and be like, "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah, and also, that's right. And it doesn't matter whether he's allowed or not. He's got the mic.
Yeah, he's got the mic, so that's all he needs.
And he says he watched the women's game, and he did because I could hear him on the commentary on the telly. I could hear Les in the background, so I knew he was there. Good stuff. All right, mate. You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup and growing up in Waikato. So what are your favourite sports? Has it always been rugby, or have you kept in touch with some other sports?
Yeah, grew up in Tokoroa.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. So
I know some boys from Tokoroa.
Yeah, a few rugby legends come out of there. So grew up there, went to St Peters in Cambridge. Grew up playing any sport I could whenever I had time. So I actually started out playing soccer when I was a wee fella, and then saw the light, started playing a bit of footy after that, and picked up a golf club as well, and played a bit of cricket. Athletics as well through school, and whenever I had time I was always outside playing sport, but rugby and golf have kind of been the main two coming through.
Rugby and golf, so you kept up with the golf?
I've tried to despite injury. You get out whenever you can, and Nelson Golf Club's great spot to be through the NPC season, and right on the coast on the beach there, and get out with the lads and play as much golf as possible, really.
So is there a bit of a competition in the team?
Yeah, we have a little scramble between a few of us and a couple of matches going on, usually for a Coke Zero or something like that afterwards, or lunch the next day. So the lads are real competitive with the golf, and
you're one of the better players amongst the group. What's your handicap?
Off a scratch. So
Crikey.
I've got to give a few of the lads a few shots, but it makes for more the challenge. And
so you're the one. You're at the top of the table. They're trying to knock you off.
Yeah, indeed.
How's that?
So how long have you been a scratch golfer?
Since I left school, I probably through year 12 and year 13. I think I was down to about a 2 or a 3, and then probably the year after I left school, I got down to about a 1, maybe a scratch about then, and kind of just hovered between a +1 and maybe a 2 or a 3 ever since. So
that says a lot about hand-eye coordination. You've obviously got that ability.
Yeah, a little bit of natural talent, but I'm not really a sucker for spending a couple of hours on the range like some of the professional golfers can. I'd rather go out and have fun with the lads, and when your time's only short as well as a footy player, you don't get too many days to spend on the golf course unless your name's Levi Almoa. You're out there every day. So.
Oh, is that right?
What's his handicap?
I'm not too sure. I'll just round it up to a 36, but he likes to think he's off about a 15.
I was going to say the Willie Havilli approach is less is more. That's what he got taught. Do some practice, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, indeed.
Just go for the natural.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in who your challengers are. I hear David Havilli and Will Jordan are pretty good with the sticks.
Yeah, they go really good with the sticks, and they're kind of the OGs back when I was come down here in 2017, 2018 and played a lot of golf with them. So there was a small group of us back then playing golf, and now I think we're up to, if we got all the golfers, that would be close to 16, maybe 17 golfers out there. So
great.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But Louis Chapman's probably my biggest challenger as of late. He's a top golfer and really talented on the golf course. And I don't know if he's a little fella for a halfback, but he's got big ticker and he'll try and take me on all the way down to the 18th. But I think he's yet to take the scalp. So
if it all goes belly up, the Nelson Tasman Golf Association's got a bright future.
potentially. As I said, money talks. Eh?
That's right. Yeah, well, and if something doesn't go quite right, you'll have to get in your car and head to the States and sleep in your car and go around all the courses. Isn't that how they do it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Work your way up.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, well, and obviously St. Peter's College, I don't know what their golf team was like and whether you represented them, but rugby a big part of that, or in Cambridge?
Yep. The rugby culture at St. Peter's wasn't massive in my time there, but we tried to grow it and kind of they've managed to get a few things rolling there since I left, and they've had a couple of top 4 appearances for co-ed, and which is great, and they've got a rugby academy going, and they're starting to do really, really well for themselves and made the playoffs in the CNI the last few years, and they seem to have things going really well there. But they had a golf academy there as well while I was there.
Oh, did they?
Yes, we had a 260 metre driving range, a 50-metre pitching and putting green out the back, and probably 2 of the best golf coaches in the country at the time, and Simon Thomas and Rion Sayer. So I believe Simon might still be there actually. So
wow,
yeah.
There you go, Les. That might be something to get stuck into. Set up a golfing range at Nelson College and.
No, thank you, not me.
So I used to spend just about every afternoon down there when I wasn't rugby training, trying to hit balls over the back of the fence and hit the greenskeeper house at the behind the driving range. So I think you had to fly at about 280 to try and catch one over the net. So that was good fun. But most of them ended up over the right hand side into the horse paddock. So.
Right. So after college, what happened after that?
After school, I went dairy farming. So I grew up on a dairy farm in Tokoroa and went dairy farming. And then I was part of the Waikato U19s Academy out of school. So kind of went through the 19s campaign and along with farming the whole way through. And I wasn't really probably a uni kind of a guy. So that wasn't really the pathway I was looking to go, and more hands-on and love me farming. So yeah, I was farming, went through the 19s campaign, and that kind of run for us. We're full-time in February with tournament back into September. So we had a pretty awesome year and ended up winning it out for Waikato 19s that year, which was 2016. So
right. Wow.
So you're playing club rugby then?
Yeah, playing for Hautapu. Hautapu. So Cambridge club, and awesome spot to be, and good group of mates, and a lot of those guys I'm still really close with now, and some good mates coming out of there, and a club that's been awfully successful in the last kind of 7, 8, 9 years. So
cool. And out of that club, you get selected for the New Zealand under-20s tour to England, wasn't it?
Georgia.
To Georgia. Now, we've talked about this tour, so we're going to be able to drop some names. But how was that tour? Great experience?
Yeah, it was awesome experience, and we had the Australasian tour over to Aussie first to play against Samoa, Fiji, and Aussie, and that was a good couple of weeks, and then obviously over to Georgia for the World Cup after that. It was crazy. Never experienced a country like it. It was pretty mind opening, and
in what respect?
It was I don't know, like a little bit dirtier, and probably just how humble and I don't really know how to explain it, how scarce maybe some of the land was.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really.
But like the Wild West a bit, was it? What were the Georgian people like? Were they
like, you can't really understand them? They don't really understand you. There's not a hell of a lot of English spoken over there. I don't think so.
I like their rugby, fairly direct.
Yeah.
A strong people. Strong people.
Yeah, and they didn't have a lot to do with the public. We're pretty content in our hotel, and then go out, train and stuff. But even just as going out for a haircut and stuff like that, sometimes the language barrier could be a bit of an issue to get a coffee. But it was a pretty cool experience over there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so you're on tour with Tima Whanganuku and Will Jordan, and then I think you play England in the final, do you not?
I didn't. I actually did my ACL in the second game, so.
But they do play England, and Will Butler, our number 12, was in that final. So there's some names, but more importantly, there was a manager of that team called Martin Burko.
Yep.
So Martin, the storied Tasman Mako manager.
Yeah.
Obviously introduces you to the Tasman setup. So how did that all come about? How did you end up playing for Tasman and not the Waikato?
Well, yeah, when I got talking to Verks and Timo, I had no idea where Tasman was.
So thought it was a small town on the way to Motueka.
I just had no idea. I was oblivious. And so that they told me a little bit about it. Said it's top of the south and all this, all that. And I knew a couple of players that had been through Tasman, but I didn't know kind of where it was or anything like that. And then there was nothing that really come about the Tassie chats. And anyway, after the 20s campaign, got back, did my rehab on my knee, and got back ready to go. And Waikato weren't in a position to sign me, and they'd signed fellow prop Josh Scott over me, which was completely fine. And there was an opportunity that come down to play for Tasman, and Greg Sunville Yoda, who had taken a few scrum sessions with us at NZ20s and prior to that as well, and I think might have been a little bit of his doing as well. And he was Ford's coach down at Tasman here in 2017, and between him and Tony Lewis threw me a couple of year contract, and I jumped in my ute and drove down, and made it my new home. So
did you have much to do with Mike Crawford and Waikato? Did you come across him at all during that time?
No, not a lot to do with.
No, well, he was manager of the Waikato team, but he'd also been here as a development officer with the Mako. So I just wondered whether that was another connection as well. Yeah.
No, not a lot of crossover there. But
so you drove down?
Drove down to my old Holden Rodeo, the old the blue bushbuck, as some would know, come down, picked Teamer up in Wellington. He was up in Wellington for the weekend that time, and we come over together and went down and watched Nelson College play a game of footy. Might have been against Marlborough that game as well, actually, against Marlborough boys, and it was a good way to introduce myself into a bit of Tassie footy. So that was awesome.
Fabulous. Yeah, and you've been part of the family since. You mentioned that knee injury in the under-20s. You've had a spate of fairly serious injuries in your time, which has limited your number of appearances. How do you handle those setbacks, Coxie? Do you grin and bear it? What's the secret to that?
I don't think there is a secret, Les. I think you can't. Sometimes if it's a big injury and you're going to be up for a long period of time, anything 3-4 months longer, maybe. It's pretty helpful to get away from the game altogether, for whether it's for a couple of days or for a week, even away from the team, and just take a little bit of time to yourself, because it can take a little bit to process, because everyone's in different situations. But if you're towards the end of a contract or your time with the team, then you don't know where your future sits, really. And I've had a couple in my time now, a couple of knees and a couple of ankles that have set me back. And I think I'll take a little bit of time away from rugby if I can, and then kind of be grateful for where I am and find a way to contribute to the team, to help the team do the best they can, even though I'm not able to go out on the pitch. So you always got to find a way to help the team be better, even if you can't contribute firsthand, really.
So, right. You've got a role in the team, haven't you? You procure stuff.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's that role?
You mean the perks committee? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so run what we call perks committee. I wouldn't say I'm the most successful perks committee commissioner that's been around, but I've been known as a hustler at times. Just sort out any perks for the lads, discounts around town or whatnot. But we try and work it both ways. Like DeVille's is a great spot for us. We all love going to DeVille's Cafe for a coffee and a feed, and they look after us with a wee discount there. But it goes both ways. We go there and show our appreciation and spend a lot of money there, and that they take care of us with a wee discount. But yeah,
so we're not saying if anything goes missing on the back of your truck.
No, Ryan Coxon, not that kind of.
No.
Look what I got, lads.
Not at all.
But anyway, you help with the team.
Well, you would call that business development relationship manager, wouldn't you?
Something close to it. So yeah, I do need a job after rugby at some
point. There you go. Perfect business development manager. You've been both part of the 2019 and 20 premiership squads. So you've been there, you've seen it, you've been through the campaigns. One went reasonably smoothly. The other one had its ups and downs, and then you tipped up Auckland on their home patch. So you've seen it all there. So I guess, first of all, what it was like to be part of that, but also, you're traveling pretty well at the moment. So there's a few things to lean on there from some of the players that haven't been through it, I would imagine.
Yeah, we got not a hell of a lot of players that were around in that 2019 unbeaten season. That was something pretty special, and I think we had one of the most stacked NPC sides the country's probably just about ever seen, with the guys that we had in there: Liam Squire, Jordan Telfer, Wyatt Crockett, Tim Perry, Andrew Makaleo. It was a phenomenal team, and not to mention a lot of the other guys, but having Wyatt Crockett and Tim Perry as mentors through that year was pretty awesome. Tim had dropped back from the All Blacks, got a bit of game time for us, and I think I'd played most of the season coming off the bench for Wyatt Crockett, and then Tim Perry decides to come back and play the semi-final and final. So, let's just say I got to start the celebrations early in that 2019 final at Trafalgar Park. And then 2020, bit of a roller coaster year, and to be able to go up to Auckland and get the job done up there was massive. And there was a couple of standouts in that game. I remember Davey Arvilli having an absolute blinder in that game, and led the team around really well, and managed to play that final, which I think I come off the bench for AC Tuanga Fussy that time. And but this year, I suppose, relating back to your question about things to lean on, I think we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves. We're just taking each week as it comes, and every day we're just looking to get better. So
it's those guys that have been through those campaigns, really, I guess the other players are looking at you, and I guess you're leading on how to handle these different mental battles, or the way that you should be handling campaigns. I mean, that must have a benefit to the team, the fact that players have been there before.
Yeah, we got a handful of players that have been through that 2019, 2020.
McDonald,
couldn't name them all, but Finlay Christie was around then. Who else we got? You probably know more than me, Des.
But there is a good core group.
Yeah, there's a good core group there, and having those guys, to all be able to speak up when we need to, times are tough, and you've got those guys, and to be able to speak up and take lead is it's pretty important.
I noticed Quentin Strange when he got the Ranfurly Shield, the first guy handed it to was Quentin McDonald. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah,
because he's been there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the guardian of the Shield, isn't he?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Guy.
As he should be.
So. He'd be very nervous.
Well deserved.
Keep it out of the headlines.
And also just touching on the vibe around the group, there seems to be that energy and love for each other that was really prevalent back in 2019 and 2020 also. That I think augurs well, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Like I think our culture at Tassie is pretty phenomenal, and it's something a lot of guys have never experienced anywhere else. And it's been there since before I come here, and we look to keep growing our culture and have fun when we turn up every day, and do things with a smile on our face, work hard and have fun. So and we just take each week as it comes, really, as I said earlier. But we just have fun along the way, Les, and yeah.
You do. I love the energy, especially on a Monday, as you do reset. It's awesome. Yeah. Hey, I just want to talk about Super Rugby and not dwelling on the past too much, because you had a handful of games from 2018 to 2020 with Crusaders and the Chiefs. But this year was kind of a cool year, because it started with you going to England with the Crusaders and playing in Bristol. And then next minute, you're over in Perth playing for the Western Force. So how did that all come about, mate?
Yeah, I suppose it was pretty cool, wasn't it, Les? Chris Goodman, former academy manager here at Tasman, and top bloke. He's over at the Western Force, and he flicked me a message to kind of see what I was up to after I'd finished my pre-season stint with the Crusaders. And yeah, I was very lucky to get over to Europe and play against Bristol, and then got back to Christchurch. I think it was about the Monday, and then all of a sudden I was on the plane on the Thursday morning over to Perth, and rolling into round one the week after. So
was there any, after the pre-season in the UK, was there an opportunity to stay with the Crusaders, or was the call very fortuitous from Goody at the time?
I caught up with Dan Perrin, who's a forwards coach for the Crusaders, and great mate of mine, old Piggy, and we had a quick chat and then around kind of what was next, and not a hell of a lot of opportunity with the Crusaders, but the stacked amount of loose heads they have there and a lot of good players. So and then the opportunity arose at the Force, so I talked to Piggy about it, and said I was going to take that up and head over there, and yeah.
So you get over there. In their squad is Campbell Parata.
Yep.
The hero of the Ranfurly Shield challenge. Apu Molly.
Yep.
Goody, as you mentioned. And then you got Kurt Harrington, the physio, and the trainer, Simon Thomas.
Yep.
Man, you've got a connection there with the Mako. Yeah. How cool is that? Did you all get together and have a fellowship, if you like, a Mako fellowship?
Made sure they all had their coin on them.
Right, good man, otherwise.
And then also Fletty Kaitu as well, who was over here last year playing for us as hooker, and he's over there as well. And I'm good mates with Fletty, and it was good to have a few common faces over there, and someone to catch up with for a feed, outside of training and go and have coffee with. So it was good having a few Tassie lads over there and with a common ground.
And you got some good game time, didn't you? Did you love the experience of playing under Stuart Cron?
Yeah. Crono's a good man. He's a good man. Hard man, but a good man. I think he ended up playing about 8 games, and the opportunity come up to get a start, and took that with both hands against the Rebels, and funny enough, got stretched off on my debut for the Force, and then rolled out and played the next week. So it was
So
your resilience when it comes to injury picked up.
I don't know. I still managed to get stretched off, didn't I, Les? And then but no, it was nothing. It was just a wee neck scare, but there was nothing there, and it's all part of protocol now that you got to be pretty careful in around some of those injuries, and just got to go through the protocols really, but there was nothing there to worry about, and then rolled out, played the Brumbies. I think I played about 70, 75 minutes the week after. So, Yeah.
Good man.
Well, we must shout out to one of our listeners because originally he's from Tokoroa, Shannon Upapa, and he played fullback for Western Australia. There you go. So, Tokoroa boys doing well. And there was also the Owen brothers that I knew over there. They were leagueies though, but they come from Tokoroa as well, and great leaguey players, and played touch and rugby league in WA as well. So Tokoroa doing the business.
Plenty of Kiwis though,
yeah, heaps of Kiwis over there, and great spot to be.
We've talked about the Ranfurly Shield challenge and, what the mindset you have to go through to take on Wellington. So first of all, from a team perspective, any major changes you're aware of at this stage? Because what the team will be announced, this is Wednesday recording.
So it'll be named tomorrow. Friday 2 p.m. maybe. Friday 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So what do we know? We know Willie Havili will not be playing because he's got a concussion stand down.
Yeah, so he's got to go through HIA protocol. And around that, there was a couple of guys bracketed. There may or may not be a return of a loose forward that we might all love. So wait and see that. And then, I think it should be pretty similar.
Noah Hotham, we don't know. Because there was talk some players would be sent back to play for the region, so he might be another.
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
Have you seen David? I saw Noah yesterday. Have you seen David Havili?
Haven't seen David Havili, but keep your eyes peeled.
Oh, that's what we want. Inside scoops, mate.
That means I have to get this edited in an hour. Is that right?
They don't need pre-sales anymore.
yeah, that's right.
No, Hotham was in for a free lunch yesterday.
Was he?
But he didn't turn up to training today. So, I don't know.
Funny that he got no game time in South Africa. You'd think they'd let him go and get some rugby under his belt. But hey,
at least you can wait for team naming tomorrow, I suppose, can't you?
Yes.
He was seen in the corridors. There we go. Also, we have to mention that this is your 49th game for Mako jersey. So, and there's only 21 players that received the 50-game Blazers. So you're on good course.
Yeah. It's might just about be one of the longest careers to get to my 50 games. I think, it took a wee while, maybe 4 years or something to even get close to my 20 with a few injuries and stuff in those first few years. And, I remember Tony Lewis coming up to me after my first year saying I was the most expensive player they had all year.
For minutes played.
Yeah, for minutes played. I think I played about 80 minutes in the whole season. So, But looking forward to it. And, just one game at a time. But it's it's been pretty good the last couple of years to be able to get a few minutes and wrap a few games together as well now. I know it must have been about 15 or 16 games in a row at least for Tasman. And just trying to stay injury free and keep the body fresh for Saturdays, really. So.
Yeah. Well, it's paying off, isn't it, Tony? Kept him in there, and we're getting some runs on the board, aren't we? So,
and you're contributing a lot of minutes. So, it's really great to see Coxie, and we're playing very, very well. I'm sure you picked up a couple of team awards this season, Grit Awards. So, your play's great.
Cheers, Les.
The other thing you'll have to work on, Les, is get him away from the Nelson Golf Club up to Waitaki.
Yes.
You get him part of that.
Have you played up there?
I think I have.
Yeah. Interesting little course, not wide open like Nelson.
No, that's right. Very undulating.
To the right, there's trouble.
But Les Edwards and Tony Lewis is there, a lot of others. So you might find there's a bit of a campaign to get you away from. All right, mate. Hey, look, fantastic to have you in. So first of all, congratulations so far on your career and all that you've done with the Mako. It's fantastic. They're going to need you this season with all that experience and, because it sounds like things are going pretty well in the right direction and it's just a mental game now, isn't it? And there's going to be some tough challenges ahead. But already, touchwood, haven't lost. Ranfurly Shield in the bag, which was a bonus. So, that's just fantastic so far. A lot more work to do, but it sounds like we've got a fantastic bunch of guys in the team to do the job, and you're part of that. And we really appreciate you coming in and telling us about your background story. No idea that you're a Tokoroa man, and and really interesting to hear about the the golf handicap.
Cheers, Les. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you coming in. It's been fantastic, Coxie. Thanks very much.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you. Thank you, Les.
Yeah, pleasure.
So what is it? Drive over on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I do plan to go a little bit earlier. There's an opportunity to catch up with Kieran Kane, I think, on the Saturday evening. So do that and then, go to the game. And
so presumably
2 o'clock start.
KK goes to the games now, does he?
Yes, he's a life member of Tasman Rugby. So
he'll be along to the game.
You see him there at Lansdowne Park. Yeah.
So must have a chat about Gray Cornelius, because pretty much got most of the reins himself now. Coached Marlborough boys and been part of that, and had a couple of tough seasons. So when you have those seasons, the coaching crew is looked at, but he's weathered some storms. He's got the helm now, and geez, aren't they doing well? So tell us a little bit about Gray.
Gray's he's a top man. He's one of the most passionate Mako lads going around, and he's upskilled himself over the last few years and grown into the head coach role really well, and he takes great lead and speaks really, really well. So when he presents, he's engaging all the lads, and speaks with purpose, and not a bad piece of blood in his body. He's a top bloke and a great coach, and he's evolved over the years around the game, and he spends more time with the backs. So not me so much, but
so you have time with Azza, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Dundon, good coach.
Yeah, great coach. He's brought over a whole lot of freshness from Ireland and Leinster, and obviously knows the Godfather Andrew Goodman. But he's brought a new perspective of set piece and breakdown work to Tasman, and he's been awesome. So,
and Wani McDonald running the defence for you.
Well, I think the points against would speak for itself with how he's going. I think we might be leading the comp with the fewest amount of points led in and fewest amount of tries, and he's doing a great job. And he drives the players to drive a lot of his messages as well. And guys like Sione Havili, Braden Stewart, and Finlay Christie driving those D messages massively. And he's got those D leaders doing a real good job for us as well. And Hoon's really passionate about our defence, and he'll do anything for it. So, and you often see him out there on a GST training, and he's actually out there getting stuck in himself. So,
Nice work. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ryan. Awesome. Good luck, Les. We'll hear your dulcet tones across the commentary.
Yeah, looking forward to this Sunday very much indeed. Going to be a great challenge in more ways than one.
And isn't it fantastic that Marlborough's turned out in force? So going to be another great crowd. So NBC, I would say, be pretty wrapped by the end of the season, because I think the regions are really coming out and supporting their teams, which is great to see. Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. Thanks to the Turf Hotel, Main Road, Stoke, for their ongoing support. You can catch this on talknelson.co.nz, on our social media channels, Facebook and Instagram, and also on Spotify. Look for NBS Talk Nelson. We'll speak to you again next week on the Mako Rugby Roundup.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.